Hello everyone, it's Kari. Welcome back to my channel. If you missed my part 1 of this video and you want to check out how I built all those birds, then go check it out. I'll have that linked here as well. But for this video, it is going to be part 2 where I'm going to build the birdhouses and put these cards together. I'm going to be using the birds that I created in the last video, as well as the A7 birdhouse pop-up card die from Scrappy Crafts. And I'm going to also use that 6x8 Birds and Blooms stamp set for some of the sentiments. I wanted to show you how easy this pop-up die is to use. Sabrina from Scrappy Crafts has designed and created this. She has really thought of all the things for building this. It's so easy to put together. I am going to, for this one, color those holes in the birdhouse with some black soot. And that's going to look like it's a deep dark hole inside. You could cut these out also with the included die, so you can cut out an actual hole in your pop-up die. And I am going to show you that in the next card, or one of the cards that I'm doing today. But for this one, I started out by cutting the base with some Nina Desert Storm paper. And then I cut out the front with some cream colored paper. Now this front also has kind of like a wood grain look to it. It's so awesome and it's beautiful, and I didn't realize that it had that at first. But when I cut these out, I was just like, this is amazing. Now one thing with adding that black soot is I did get a little bit of ink on my front cover, so I just used my sand eraser to get that off, and I'm using this pink bird with the cherry blossoms that both of these we put together in the last video, and I'm going to use those for this card. And I wanted to add some yellow highlights, so I'm going to use my ink again, and I'm working on my silicone mat here, and I'm going to color up the frames for each of these, or the holes in the birdhouse. And I'm going to use the scallop ones. So there's a scallop one and also a plain round one, but I decided I liked the scallop one better. And then there's also a die to cut out the rooftop for each of these layers. So awesome. And so now I'm just going to glue all of this together and see how easy it is. You just have to make some decisions on colors, and there's so many different color combinations you can use. So I love that you can choose the base as a different color, the rooftops as a different color. You could even do the front of the birdhouse a different color, whatever you want. So I'm adding those cherry blossoms down to the base of the card, and I'm going to glue the bird feet down, but I'm going to add some foam tape to the body. So he's going to pop up. It's going to be like a 3D effect. And then I've already stamped and cut out a little banner that says Happy Easter. And I used the same color ink as I did on the bird to make everything match. And then as I cut off the excess pieces, I'm going to set those aside because look, this one will fit perfectly on the top. And that will be a great branch up there for another bird. So I'm saving all these pieces because you know I'm going to use them. And then I thought this is such a cute idea to use as a place setting for a tablescape. I plan on using this for Easter, so I put a monogram initial up there, and that is going to be the front. Now, I cut out 2 of these side pieces, and I'm being a little extra here because I thought it would be fun to have this stencil design on the side pieces. Since I'm using that Desert Storm paper, I'm using Distress Oxide in squeezed lemonade so that it will show up on that paper. And then all you have to do is use those score lines, and you can glue it with liquid adhesive, but I decided to go with some score tape today. All you have to do is add that to those little tabs. I just went ahead and put it on really quick, and then I cut off the excess using my non-stick scissors. If I haven't talked about these scissors enough, I love them. Nothing sticks to them. I mean, this is going to stick, but I pull that off and it's not going to leave a sticky residue. I can't craft without these scissors. You probably, if you've been watching me, you see me use these scissors probably in every single one of my videos. That's how much I love them. So then all you have to do is add these together. So you create kind of like a little box here. And that is what's going to create the 3D pop-up effect. So this is the larger box, and then there's a smaller one to go on the smaller birdhouse top. So this is like a 2-story birdhouse. And it's really, really so cool. So it'll stand up for you. As I say, this is going to be a really great Easter place setting. So for the smaller one, you put it together the exact same way. Just a little score tape on each of those tabs. Cut off the excess, put them together, and glue that on your birdhouse front. So look how fast I am putting this together. I didn't even really have to worry about instructions. This is super simple to do. And you just want to make sure it's going to fold both directions, because that's what's going to make it foldable to fit inside an envelope. Now this first one that I'm making, I should mention, I am making this one to be stable. It's not going to fold to fit in an envelope. It's just going to be more of a decoration or a place setting piece. So I'm not making this one foldable, but I am going to make the next one foldable so you can see how to make that, how to create that. It's just a tiny bit different than this one. And then you're going to add one more birdhouse base piece to the back. You can decorate up the back if you want to, but I elected not to because I spent time decorating that front. So there we go. Now all you have to do is cut the roof pieces. And there's this little piece. I cut 4 of them, but there is a different piece for the top, the very second story of the roof. So don't pay attention to that. I'll show you how to put that part together in the next one. But as you can see, I'm just gluing those little tabs to the edges, and this is what's going to create such a really stable birdhouse piece. So I'm going to skip over the top part because I'm going to show you that in the next birdhouse that we create. But you can see this creates a really great roof. And now I'm going to create a mini A2 card with this. So I'm using the base piece, and I've got a piece of cardstock that's already scored into a card base. And I'm just going to cut this out of that base, leaving the edge over, leaving the cut line over the edge. So what that's going to do is it's not going to cut the left-hand side of this. It's only going to cut around the birdhouse, and it's going to allow you to create that into a card. And I'll show you in just a minute what I mean. But first I cut out the front piece and I cut out my roof piece. And now I'm going to cut off the top part that we don't need. So I'm adding that roof piece so I know exactly where to cut. And I'll open that up now and cut off the excess because I just want to use the first level of this to make my little A2 card. Look how cute that is. For the front piece, I'm going to ink that up with some antique linen distress ink. And that's going to give it just a little bit of a variation from our background. And then I'll go ahead and start putting everything together. I'm going to leave the circle in the birdhouse this time because I don't want it to open up to the card inside. And I'm going to use the bird that we created in the first video, the one that has the lime green on his head and the purple wings. This is a real bird. Can you believe it? A real bird. I patterned all my birds after real birds because they are amazing and really inspirational. This die set also has a little perch for the bird to sit on or stand on. So I added that right there. And then I'm going to bring in some other dies from other Scrappy Tales crafts sets. The flower that I'm adding to this is from the Perfume set. I love this flower. It's super simple to put together, just 3 layers. So I'm just going to add these all together. And the top layer I did was some silver mirror cardstock. And then I did some turquoise inks on the other 2 layers. And you can see how easy these are to put together, but they're beautiful flowers. Really beautiful. And then I just have some leaves that I cut out from one of the foliage dies. And I'm going to start adding this together. The sentiment says, "You make everything better." That's from the Birds and Blooms stamp set that's brand new. There's also a die that cuts that out. It's really great because it cuts right around the sentiment just like that. And so I love it. This one I'm going to pop up the right hand side with some foam tape and glue the other side down to the other flower. And then I'll go ahead and add my sentiment. I did add 2 extra layers of the die cut behind it, so it does pop up just a little bit from the background. And for this bird, I'm also going to use some foam tape to add him down, pop him up. And that's going to finish off this little card. It's so cute. Now I did add another layer to the back of this to make it even sturdier, so it's a nice sturdy card. There's the back I added. And now there's 2 of our cards. So I've got 2 more to share. This one I've already built up a little off screen, but look how perfect this bird is for holding a berry in his beak. It's so cute. And so I couldn't resist. I had some extra berries from the dessert die from Scrappy Tales Crafts, and they're the perfect size. I have a raspberry for this little guy to hold, and so I added an extra strawberry, some blueberries, and some of the little leaves for this one. So I'm just going to glue that raspberry to his beak, and I'll set him aside as I build this card. This one is going to be the one that folds into an envelope. And so you build the front just much like I did the other one. So I'm going to skip parts of this, and I'm already going to have built the boxes for it and everything. And so here we go. I just have to add that bird. Did you see I cut out the holes for this one this time? Using those dies in the stamp set. So you can really make this any way you want. And in that top hole of the second story of the birdhouse, I have some berries sticking out of there. It's like this bird is collecting food and keeping it in his little house. Really, really cute. So again, I built those boxes, and I'm building this much the same way as the first one. The only difference is when you build the roof. So let me show you that here. Again, I am going to cut a bunch of these. I actually only need 2 because the top one has its own die, which I didn't realize until after I put that first one together. So I have purple for the roof of this one, and I cut off the little tabs. And you're going to cut those off because this is what's going to make this card foldable into an envelope. It's really, it's genius. It's genius. So I'm going to hold that there while it dries. Just give it a minute or so that it can dry on there. And then I'm going to add the other roof on the other side. And then I'm going to build the piece for the very top, for the top roof to sit on. So that's this little piece here. And you're going to alternate the ways that that piece goes. And the little tiny tab at the top is going to be what holds up the top of the roof. So see that? So I'm going to hold that in place while it dries. Just give it a minute or 2. And then here's the top piece. It's all one piece. It's really awesome. Again, you're going to cut those tabs off if you're going to make this into a foldable card, which I am for this one. And then you're going to glue the top piece to that little topper right there. And just hold those together while they dry. I did use my bone folder for this, but then I realized I could just lift up the roof and hold it to that piece. It all worked out in the end. There we go. So now you're just going to train the paper how to fold up and how to open up again. Here's my envelope. I created my own envelope. So you can see that then I open it up and the roof all folds back together. It's really, really cool. Now for my last card, I'm going to skip over a lot of the parts here. I went ahead and did some embossing with an embossing folder on this background. And now I'm going to ink it up with some Distress ink. I'm using a small ink pad because I think it works really well for just adding some little bits of ink. And then I'm going to build this birdhouse here. If you get some ink extra on the background, don't worry about it. There's always pieces that you can put over the top, like this leaf here. So I'm going to pull off all that foam tape and I'm going to add the birdhouse with foam tape. You can see that it's a little bit taller than an A2 card, so I'm going to have a larger envelope for mailing this if I decide to mail this one. And now I'm just going to add some of the tropical leaves from the tropical leaf die set. I sprayed these with some mica spray to make those leaves really beautiful and easy to color. And then I used that sentiment from the Birds and Bloom stamp set as well. It says heartfelt thanks. Super easy to put together. So here's a look at all of the cards we made and also that decor piece that's going to serve as a place setting for me. So here we go. These are really fun to play with. I hope you enjoyed watching and learning some different techniques and different ways that you can use these die sets. There's lots of options. Lots to do, different ways to use it, and different ways to color up your birds. I can only imagine all the color combinations you're going to come up with. I'd love to see them. I hope you'll post if you do create with these products. And if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up. It helps me out so much with YouTube. I appreciate all your comments, likes, and subscribes. Thank you so much for stopping by. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.